You are listening to the FORSCOM Frontline, bringing you to our soldiers on the front lines of readiness.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the FORSCOM Frontline. I'm Jeannie, and I'm your host. Today, I am joined by Sergeant Bryce Hale, a military working dog handler with the 550th Military Working Dog Detachment. Welcome, Sergeant Hale, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. So to kind of start off, I always ask, just tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the Army? Where are you originally from? Why did you join? That sort of thing.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Sergeant Bryce Hale. I'm originally from Smithfield, Pennsylvania. I joined the Army back in 2020. It's something I kind of always wanted to do. So that's kind of the main reason why I joined that. And I just wanted to get away from home, kind of see what else was out there, live away from home for a little bit. So with that being said, I've been in the Army a little over 4 years now. I think I'm going on 4.5, but I've loved every second of it. I've had a plethora of opportunities here at Fort Liberty, and I'm very, very thankful for it. So, but I work Patrol Explosives Detector Dog for the Army. I've been with my dog to numerous places, and I've been with her for the last 3 years. So it's just
that was actually going to be one of the questions I asked later on, and we'll talk more about your dog in a little bit. So I do have one question. You said you joined in 2020. Did you join before or after the pandemic?
So I joined right before everything started closing down. So I remember there was a time towards the end of basic training that I was on a detail. We were cleaning a gym, and I happened to see on the TV, all the shutdowns and all that stuff. And I had been writing letters, back and forth between families, so I'd kind of known about it, but I didn't realize, I guess, how bad it was. And I guess when it really hit us, like how bad it was when they told us, like, hey, you guys are going to have a graduation, but it's going to be broadcasted over like Facebook Live. We didn't have any family come out, and that was like that for my AIT graduation as well. So along with numerous quarantines.
Yep, absolutely. And so Fort Liberty is your first installation that you've been stationed at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so what made you decide to go? Because our last episode, this is kind of a two-parter. I should have kind of stated that in the beginning. We talked to Master Sergeant Adams, who is the FORSCOM director for the Military Working Dog Program. And he had told us when he joined 17 years ago, he came in as an MP, and it wasn't until 2014 that the 31 kilo, an actual MOS for the K9 detachment, was developed. So we kind of got his perspective of him coming in as MP and then reclassing into the MOS. You had the option walking into the recruiting station to say, hey, I want to be a K9 handler. What made you decide to do that?
So I originally had gone to the recruiter. I at first wanted to be an MP. So I had left and went to the Buffalo MEP station to swear in as a 31 Bravo. And when I sat down with my guidance counselor that day, she told me, hey, I have an opening for 31 kilo. And of course, at the time, I didn't really know what it was. And she told me, and I was like, yes, I'll take that. So I really got the job by sheer luck. But I'm very thankful for that. You'll hear a lot of us saying, I know Master Sergeant Adams has said this before, it is the best job in the Army.
Absolutely. So now, have you always liked dogs? So when this opportunity kind of jumped, like, what in your mind said, oh, I don't want to be an MP anymore, I want to work with the dogs? Like, was there like a thought, like some kind of, inspiration to say yes?
Yes, I mean, it's a little, I guess, like cliche to say, but like you always see in the movies, like the guys with the dogs are always like, the cool guys, right? So that kind of like swayed my thought a little bit, and then the guidance counselor there, she's been there at that time 10 years, and this was the first time she'd ever seen an opening for this job come up. So it's kind of both of those. And then, my family, we've always had dogs growing up. So I'm a huge dog guy. So.
Okay, awesome. Now, you mentioned kind of in your intro that you work with Patrol Explosives. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Kind of like what your job entails?
Yeah, so I run a Patrol Explosive Detector Dog, enhanced for the Army, and what that is we're certified in patrol tasks, so like finding people in wood lines, in buildings, stuff of that nature, like a missing person, lost child, right? Or, if we're downrange, people hold up in a building somewhere. And then as far as the detection aspect of it, I'm certified in pretty good amount of like areas, right, to be able to like search for commercial grade explosives, HMEs, stuff of that nature. And then the enhanced portion is I went to the Army's off leash program out in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, for 3 months and learned an additional skill set with an e-collar. So I'm authorized to use that as well.
Okay. Now, how was that? This was all additional training to what you do to become a canine handler, correct?
Yes and no. We go through basic, shortened version of MP school and then dog school as well. I want to say it comes out to, I think around like 30 weeks, somewhere in there, like 27 to 30 weeks. And then once we get to our units, we get paired with the dog, and then the training never stops. We have to meet monthly tasks and whatnot, right? And then we have an annual certification that we have to go through. And then the 3 months of training out at Fort Leonard Wood, that was additional training, yes.
That was additional training. So did you volunteer to do that, or were you asked to do it? Like how did that part, because I know you just come in, you're like, oh, I'm going to be a canine handler. This is going to be amazing. And, explosives, that's kind of a step beyond what, or I wouldn't say a regular, but, just a regular, normal canine handling job, correct? So...
No, in the Army, like all the dogs are dual certified. So when we show up, we're given the dog basically. Sometimes you get more of a say. Sometimes it's, hey, we have a dog open. You just show up. You're going to take this dog. But those dogs are always either they're dual certified in patrol drug detection or patrol explosive detection, and it's kind of luck of the draw. I did want a bomb dog when I showed up to the kennels, and I was fortunate to get a bomb dog. So.
Okay, so it's like, just so I understand and I'm explaining it to our audience, is you become a canine handler, and when you show up to your unit, you're either assigned to explosives or just what's the other one, like regular detection?
Narcotics detection.
Narcotics.
So.
Okay, sorry. So you have one or the other, correct? And then it's kind of luck of the draw which one you get.
It can be, but yes, because we only work one dog at a time. But I mean, we've had numerous people switch from a bomb dog to a narcotics dog down the line, or vice versa, just depending on what the needs of the kennels itself are and what dog teams or dogs we have open at the time. So.
Okay. Now, how many military working dogs have you worked with?
So I've actually only worked with one. The dog I have right now she's still my first dog. So
I kind of figured when you said you joined in 2020 and this was your first installation. So, and you say she. What is her name?
Her name is Gyra.
Gyra. Oh, that's beautiful. Is there like a special meaning behind it, or?
No, not to my knowledge. The dogs come to us pre-named out of Blackburn. So, but yeah, I've looked it up. I think in some languages it does mean something, but at this time I don't remember exactly.
I don't know. It's just beautiful, and I love her, right? So, Master Sergeant Adams told us kind of about the breeding program, and there's certain types of dogs: the German Shepherd, the Belgian Malinois, and then the Dutch Shepherd are the dogs that are trained to become military working dogs. And they either come out of the puppy program or they come out of Germany. Where did Gyra come from?
I believe she was procured from overseas.
Overseas?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, she was.
But she still went through the same training that all of our military working dogs go through out at Lackland. So, how old is Gyra?
So Gyra just turned 6 in April. So
Oh,
she's
happy birthday!
she,
And what breed is she?
she's a bicolored German Shepherd. So she's got a black coat, and then her legs are brown.
Okay, and you guys will see the audience. We'll have a photo of Sergeant Bryce and Gyra up for you guys to see. And are you her first handler? Because I know she's your first dog. Are you her first?
Yes, yeah, I was her first handler, and she was my first dog. So our old kennel master, actually, Sergeant Adams, he used to do that a lot because it gave the teams time to grow together, and they'd be paired together for longer. And I think that I've seen it show success and yield results. So I think that was a good idea, is to do that for a lot of these younger guys.
Okay, now I imagine you and Gyra have a very special relationship since you guys work together every single day. Can you tell me about some of the events, activities that you guys do professionally, and if you guys do any that are, kind of a personal connection thing? Because I know a relationship with a dog is a very special connection. And so I just kind of want to know more about your relationship with her.
Yeah, so I'd say her and I have a really good working relationship, and then I guess like a play relationship. Her and I, we've deployed twice together. We've been on countless TDYs missions, going in across the country, supporting whatever entities we have to go and work with. We've gone to a couple different training schools and stuff. So we've really had a lot of time to grow as a team. So I'd say we work together really well. And then when we go TDY, I let her lay in the room and have her toy, and she kind of just hangs out with me. So we've got a good relationship there. And it's not, we don't always just work. I'll take her out and do centerline drills, which is basically kind of like a version of fetch, but it kind of helps condition the dogs as well to outdoor temperatures. So
that's awesome. I love it. So one of the questions that I had for Sergeant Adam or Master Sergeant Adams was, are you going to be at Fort Liberty for a time, or are you going to have to PCS? And at that time, will you be able to take Gyra with you, or will she have to stay here and move on to a new handler?
So typically, yes, that is the case. The dogs are emptoed to the kennels assigned to them, and then when the handler PCSs, the dog will stay there. And when another handler comes in, that handler will get the dog that stayed there, right? But since I've been to that 3-month off-leash school that the Army has petty, if I were to PCS, I would take Gyra with me, just because we have that additional skill set, and the additional time was put in, and the extra money was spent on hers and mine training together.
Now, talking about that training again, did Gyra go with you to that training? Did you guys train to do that together, or was that kind of a separate thing?
Yes, it was all together. It's kind of funny. I have a certificate from the school, and then she also has a certificate from the school.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Oh, I bet you're so proud of her, because I bet it takes a lot. Is there certain characteristics in a dog that is needed for explosives? Because I know they look at characteristics when, the dogs come through the program at Lackland to be trained and whatnot, and some of them make it, some of it don't. Is there special characteristics that they look for a dog to work with explosives?
That I'm not 100% sure on, but because like our explosive dogs that we have at the kennels, I mean, we've got all different sorts of demeanors, whether they're stoic and calm. It's kind of, my dog can be more on the calm side, so I do prefer that, just so that way she's a little bit easier to control in like intense situations and whatnot. Whereas we have other dogs that are they spin a lot on the leash, or they bark a lot, or what have you. And so sometimes, you know, if you're already in an intense situation, having a dog that's just ramped up can really it just adds to the situation. So
Yeah, nope, I got you. So what does a typical canine unit look like? So you're an E5. Where do you say? I know that there's several people in a unit. It's not like a regular company or battalion or things like that. We've already learned that. So what does your unit look like, and what does a typical day look like in your unit?
yeah, so we have probably about 30 people in our unit. We have a kennel master, an OIC, that's our lieutenant. He handles a lot of like the behind the scenes planning and you know, some paperwork and stuff. We have a plans and operations NCO to help the kennel master out, and they all do a phenomenal job. And then we have staff sergeants, which are they, you know, the trainers. And then we have E5s like me. I'm in a squad leader role, but typically we're the team leaders. And then we have like all those soldiers underneath us. And then typically, I guess like an average day is Mondays we have kennel maintenance. We have to like clean all the kennels, mow the lawn, all that stuff. And then Tuesday through Friday we've got like regular dog training, and that just entails us picking a training area, going out and just having a plan to execute, whether we hit like 2 detection lanes that day, a patrol task, obedience on the side, or if we finish up early out of the training location, we'll come back to the kennels and run through refreshing, obedience, and just some like local training there at the kennels. So.
Okay. And what does a typical day look like for the canines? I mean, and you can speak, you know, specifically about Gyra or about all of the dogs that you guys have within the detachment. What does their day look like?
So we'll go in after PT in the morning, right? And we'll pull the dogs, load them in the trailer, head out to training, and they'll hang out in the trailer until we pull them out to run the lane, or while people aren't running lanes, like, you know, if we have a side lane set up, or people are out pulling their dogs doing obedience or like patrol tasks. So I'd say they get work quite a bit once we get them out there. So, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything interesting, different, unique about working with canines that you think our audience should know?
It sometimes it takes a lot of mental fortitude. You know, like for instance, I've been with my dog a long time, and you wouldn't think it, but dogs do know what they can and can't do to like push your buttons. So my dog person, I love her to death, but she certainly knows how to push my buttons some days. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. So
I love it. That's amazing. And so, what does your future look like? I know we kind of talked about if you do if and when you PCS, Gyra will most likely go with you. But what does your future look like in the military? Is this something you're planning to make a career, or are you going to do a few years and then get out? Like, what is Sergeant Bryce going to do?
Right now, my wife and I are looking. I might extend a year, but I'm looking at possibly getting out here in the next couple of years. My wife and I want to go home so we can be closer to family. So.
Okay. And I bet with that, hurt to leave Gyra behind to get out? Like, I imagine like it would be very difficult.
Yes, it would, but I'm hoping that she might be eligible to retire by the time I go to get out of the military. If not, I have pondered the idea of extending and staying in until she retires, and then that way I can guarantee her coming home with me. So.
Okay. And what age do the canines retire? I know Master and Adams told me, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
So it truly is dog dependent. I've seen dogs retire at 5, and I've seen dogs retire at 11. So there really is no set age. It's basically how well the dog can work and perform the tasks that are needed of it, and then if they run, when they start running into like health issues and stuff, that's like the green light to go ahead and get them retired. So.
Okay. Now, what happens if, say, a dog gets sick or has something wrong with it? Do you guys have veterinarians in the detachment, or is that something completely separate from the unit?
So our vets, they fall under a different unit, and they're entirely their own MOS. But we are very fortunate here at Fort Liberty. We share a parking lot with them, so that's helped out on numerous occasions. If we have an emergency come up, we physically carry dogs over directly to the vet if need be. Right, so it's we're very fortunate because some installations they have to drive 10-15 minutes to get to their vet. We have a 1-minute walk. So
that's awesome. And so kind of tell me a little bit about the day-to-day life of a canine within a detachment. And when I say day-to-day, I'm thinking like what kind of food do they eat? How long do they sleep? I mean, I know they do all their training, but like all the little stuff that people don't think about. They're like, oh yeah, they do training. We see them with their gloves and they're biting and they're jumping and they're doing all of this. But what about the dog themselves? Like, what kind of food do they eat? Where do they sleep? That kind of thing. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yep. So all our dogs are on like a just regular kibble diet. They get fed twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. And then we have a fairly large facility here on the installation that we house all our dogs at. So each dog has their own run. They all have beds and stuff, water buckets that stay in there all the time. And then, and I'm trying to think of what else was there that you had asked?
Just kind of their day to day. We talked about their food, so they're completely kibble. There's no extra treats or wet food or anything like that.
Typically, if the dog is sick, we'll go to like a bland diet of like chicken and rice or wet food. And then as far as treats, that's just something we have to get clarification with on the vet or with the vet to be able to give them additional like food rewards or treats or whatnot.
Okay, and you said they all have you have a large building. I won't say where it's at because I don't know. And they each have their own run. They have a dog bed. Do they have like a blankie? I mean, are they able to interact with each other, or are they separated for the most part?
Yeah, the dog, they don't have blankets with the beds, but we do occasionally get them interacting. We actually have 2 dogs that are sisters at our kennels, and I've seen them run like a detection lane in tandem before. And then we do like enrichment training and get the dogs like socialized, properly like, with muzzles and whatnot, so that way the dogs do get that interaction. They're not, I guess, per se like sheltered, when they go to retire and maybe they go to a home with another dog and they're like, oh my, like I've never been near another dog ever. So
right. Okay. So, and now that I've known a little bit about how they are like from day to day, now you guys go out on missions, and I know we also there's requests for demonstrations of military working dogs. And when you guys go out, what is some advice that you can give to the public that's interacting with you? And when I say the public, I mean other soldiers, people outside of your unit who don't have the training that you do working with military working dogs, because these are four-legged fighters. They are trained to be deadly weapons, and I'm sure there is a protocol in place somewhere of interactions with them with the public.
Yeah, so like typically if we're in like a public area, for say like the airport, like we have to have our dogs muzzled, like hotels and stuff, they have to be on muzzle, right? But I'd say just for like the general populace is there's been instances where I've had people just out of the blue, they're like, oh, a dog, and their first instinct is to try and reach out and pet them or like to come right up to me. So like I'd say like that, because it can be like a little sketchy at first, you know. Not I don't want like just every random person to just come right up to my dog. I mean, she's really mellow and has a good demeanor, so like I don't mind when people ask to pet her, but I just don't want people coming up and randomly like forcibly petting her, I guess.
Yeah, no, I got you. Now, does she wear like a vest or anything? Kind of like, a service dog wears a vest to show that they are a service dog. Does Gyra wear one when you guys are out in public to show that she is a military working dog?
Yes, I have a multi-cam vest that she wears. A lot of people have vests like that say like "Do not pet." I don't have a patch that says "Do not pet," and I know they make collars that also say like you can add patches to it. They're Velcro collars that say "Do not pet." I don't have any of that, but I do have. When I'm in an airport, like to me, it seems obvious that like you shouldn't go up to the dog, but I know not everyone thinks that way. But you see the muzzle, a guy with a tight grip on a leash, and the dog with the vest. I would assume that like, hey, maybe that dog's here for work, but not everyone thinks that way, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, I guess. But
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great advice. So I am out of questions, I guess. Like what to ask. Is there anything that you can think of, whether it be about being a 30 wing kilo, about the dogs themselves, or even just the unit or anything that you think our public should know?
No, I think we really covered everything. So I really appreciate the offer.
Absolutely. And as a young junior enlisted soldier, is there any advice that you have for up and coming canine handlers in the military?
Yeah, for up and coming canine handlers, definitely correspondence courses. Get out and watch training, soak everything up. Because if you see something and you're like, oh, hey, that might not work for my dog, that might work for another dog. It's all about adding tools to your toolbox. So the more training you watch, the more you're involved, the more you're going to learn, and the more that you learn, down the line when you have soldiers underneath you, if they come to you with an issue, you might be able to solve that issue. So I definitely say that stuff. It's all about career progression. So then taking care of those soldiers coming up. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sergeant Hill, for joining me today. I love that we've gotten to know you and a little bit about Gyra and all of the military working dogs here at the 550th Military Working Dog Detachment on Fort Liberty. So, again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yep. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And until next time, we'll see you on the front line.